Hello everyone and welcome back or welcome to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. We are here with part one of the Canton Moto Jacket Sew Along by Cashmerette. Okay, I am hoping that we've got some old faces that are around here to do this sew along with me, but also some new faces as well. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. I hope you'll stick around and take a look at everything else that we've got to offer here. We have a lot of fun here in the Tomcat Stitchery world, our little corner of the sewing community. But today we are doing part one of the new Cashmerette Canton Moto Jacket. So let's really quickly, we're going to go over our supplies and our tools that we're going to need. We're going to get our pattern cut out today. I am breaking up this sew along into sizable chunks because it is a pretty weighty pattern. And yeah, we're just going to go over the pattern a little bit today. Again, cut out the pieces. I'm going to show you where the interfacing goes. Just get everything nice and prepped so that we can start sewing next time. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the pattern. It is a moto style jacket, like I mentioned. We have got two views. We've got one that hits about, high to mid hip, that contains pockets in the front. And we also have a crop version. I've actually already made the crop version. This is a view B, which is the cropped version. I made it for my daughter in leather. But we're gonna be making view A here in the sew along today. The only difference between the two, other than the length, is that view A does include the pockets and in the front, and view B does not. It does not include the pockets. So obviously I want to go over all the steps with you, but if you do want to make view B, just know that you'll just be omitting that step when we go to put the pockets in. This pattern comes in their regular size range, the size 0 to 32, with cups from C up to H. So it is a very fit-friendly pattern. If you have any questions on what size to use, Cashmerette does have a very handy, wonderful size calculator on their website, and I'll leave it linked down below. Also, everything that I'll be talking about today, any products, what I'll be using, is always linked right down below in the description box if you have any questions or want to just go take a look at what I'm talking about. Also, today we will be sewing on a home machine. If you are one of the regulars here on the channel, you know I normally work on an industrial machine, but the channel has been newly sponsored by University of Sewing, and I have been given for a year a Loaner Bernina 770 machine. So I will be working on this Bernina 770, which is a home machine, which I also think will be easier for you guys to see what's going on. It's got a lot more features that are across the board, more typical in a home machine. So hopefully this will be really easy. The features that are on this will be features that are on many other home machines and be much easier for you guys to sew along with me. So we're using the Bernina 770 as our machine. Obviously you're gonna need a sewing machine to do this project, but you don't need a serger. If you don't have a serger, that is okay. You don't need one. All right, let's go over our materials a little bit before we get to cutting things out. This jacket can be made in any mid to heavy weight woven fabrics, so boiled wool, boucles, jacquards, any kind of coating. You could do a wool, you could do a heavy duty, like a denim, or a heavy duty cotton twill, or you could choose leather or faux leather or pleather, whichever you would like to call, which we will be using a pleather in this sew along, which does have a little bit difference than some of the other fabrics. And I thought it'd be helpful to kind of go through that because moto jackets a lot of times are seen in faux leather or leather. So there might be a lot of you that are wanting to choose that kind of material. And there are a few little differences that you'll need to account for if you're going to use a material such as that. Now, if you decide to use leather, which I did for my daughter's version here, make sure you're using a thin leather or you'll be ripping your hair out. This was a hide that I got at a discount place that's probably more suited for purses or maybe not necessarily upholstery. It's a little thin. Well, maybe for like upholstery kind of type weight. It got thick in places. I wanted to pull my hair out. So just if you are using real leather, choose something that's a little bit lighter. You will thank me later. I did get there in the end, and it's a beautiful coat that she's gonna have forever and ever, but yes, you will thank me if you use something a little bit thinner, thinner weight leather. All right, so for my jacket for this sew along, I have chosen a faux leather. I should have put this in a different order here. This is an faux leather from Minerva. It is one of their core range faux leathers. I have used this fabric before in the past. This is wonderful. It's a wonderful I've made pants out of it, and it's gonna be wonderful for the jacket. So it's not too thick, it's got beautiful drape to it, so it's gonna sit well. I will be interfacing, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I picked this for a few reasons. Number one, I thought it was good for the moto jacket, but also we've got right side and wrong side that are easy to tell the difference. So hopefully you guys are ever gonna be able to see all these steps really, really clearly as we go through that. So you will need, of course, your outer fabric. We'll be using pleather for this one. You are also going to need lining fabric. My favorite lining fabrics are rayon linings or acetate linings. Acetate is actually a made with natural fibers but gone through a man-made process similar to a rayon. So it's more breathable than a polyester, for instance, but it's still very slick and very lightweight, which also means shifty, can be a little bit harder to handle. Spray starch can be your friend with the shiftier fabrics. I will be using this acetate lining that I have in my stash for this project. Again, different colors so you can kind of see what's going on and what I'm doing. But you will need something slick so that it's easy to get on and off and easy to move around in. For my daughter's jacket, I actually went with a polyester because it was in my stash and it was a print and she enjoyed it. But it is actually a polyester peach skin that came from Joann's. So just as long as it's slick enough that you can easily, it's not going to stick to your sweaters or your shirts that you're going to have underneath this, because this is a more form-fitting jacket. There is ease in there to wear over things, but it's not like an overcoat, for instance. So you do want to be able to move comfortably. So make sure you choose something with a little bit of shine to it. That usually means that you can it's slick, so you can easily move around in it. For the pocket lining, I like something personally with more stability. You could use your lining fabric for your pockets, that's absolutely fine. I just prefer stable cotton. I have some scraps of some cotton batik here that I'm going to be using. This is a great way to use up your cotton scraps. I love this for any kind of pocketing, whether in jeans or coats or whatever, but I just think it makes a much more stable pocket and you're less likely to get holes in your pockets later. You cannot see the pocket. It'll be all zipped up nice and neat. This one does match nicely, but it does get tucked away so you can use something fun that maybe just about in your pocket if you'd like. All right, next is interfacing. We are going to be interfacing, and if you are using a thicker, real stable faux leather or really stable leather, you may not need to use any interfacing at all. I actually didn't use any interfacing at all in this jacket for my daughter, and it didn't need it. Make it look a little nicer though there. It really didn't need it. But I will be using interfacing in all of the areas for this sew-along jacket so you guys can see exactly where interfacing should be placed if you are needing that in any parts of your jacket. But just know if you're using something with a lot of body, like a pleather or leather, you may not need interfacing or may not need it in all the places. But we will be putting interfacing in all. I am using from Fashion Sewing Supply their Pro Sheer Elegance in the medium weight. I love Fashion Fabric Supply, has wonderful interfacings, and their medium weight I've used for quite a few different things, and it's just a really great interfacing. And that's what we'll be using for the interfacing for this jacket. All right, notions. You're going to need one at least 22-inch zipper. Mine's longer than that. Mine might be 24 or maybe even 30. I can't remember now. I am going to be showing you how to shorten your zippers. So there's a couple of different ways that we can do that. I'm going to show you both. The instructions include a way of just putting a thread tack at the front, but I'm also going to show you how to use a kit where you can squeeze on a little zipper stop up at the top to create your own little stops, and they look just like the stops that you're taking off the zipper. This will need to be shortened though, and I did that on purpose because I want to show you guys how to be able to shorten zippers. It's not hard. You just need a few tools, and we'll be able to do that. So you will need one at least 22-inch zipper long. And then if you're making view A, you're going to need two 6-inch zippers, which I've got right here, all in the same color. So 2 6-inch zippers for the pockets, and then you want 2 5-inch zippers for the sleeve gussets. So the only thing, if you're making view B, you will not need the 6-inch zippers for the pockets, but you will need the 5-inch zippers for those sleeve gussets. And if you're doing the traditional moto jacket, a lot of times that does mean metal teeth, although it doesn't have to mean metal teeth. I have used size 5 zippers on for all of these, but with obviously metal teeth. But you can use a molded tooth or a nylon tooth if you want a little bit softer look, or if you're not wanting exactly the moto jacket style. So that's kind of up to you, but I will be using metal zippers and showing you how to shorten those. Well, really just this one. These should be fine. Your 22-inch zipper does need to be an open-ended zipper. It needs to be able to come apart. These zippers close-ended because we don't want those to come apart. I will link, I got all of those at wallwack.com, so if you are in the US, it's a very easy, I will link those. If you're not in the US, you can at least take a look and know what I'm talking about to compare products. All right, also optional are heavy-duty snaps. There are the option for snaps that can kind of give that moto jacket that go up here at the collar and also here at the lapel. So I will be showing you how to put those in. I will be using a leather hole punch to insert mine. So just make sure whatever, and you don't have to use that. Obviously, if you're not making it in leather, you can just kind of use an awl to make your hole. But if you are using a heavy duty snap that does require a tool, make sure you also have that tool. A lot of times they come packaged together. So I have all of the tools now, so now I just buy the snaps as is, but they do come with like usually like a little awl and then, or a little anvil and then a little thing that you hit with a hammer that helps to spread things apart so that you can set your snaps. Finally, notion-wise, you are going to need a pair of shoulder pads. Now these are not shoulder pads of the 80s. These just give a beautiful structure to the top part of the shoulder of the jacket. I've gone with a 1/4 inch. The pattern recommends 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch for the shoulder pads. Uncovered are fine. In fact, they're a lot easier to put in, and I'll be walking you through how to do that as well. All right, final little things. You are going to need thread. My favorite thread for 90% of my sewing is Gutermann Mara 100. I get mine from Wallwack. You can find it in pretty much any haberdashery shop around the world, but it is my absolute favorite and where I get mine. You may also, if you're wanting really top stitching that's really going to stand out, I really like the Gutermann Mara 30 for that. It's just a thicker thread. This is what I use for jeans top stitching, but it makes great buttonholes, but also it's just really great and it stands out a little bit better with top stitching. So if you want something a little beefier for your top stitching, that is my go-to for that. I will probably just be using the Gutermann Mara 100 for both construction and for top stitching. It's easier, but also I kind of like that look as well. I used the Gutermann Mara 100 for the top stitching on this jacket and it worked really, really well. This is a little bit thinner, so I think it'll be fine. So just kind of depending on the look that you want. And then finally, you're gonna need needles. If you are using a leather or pleather, you want a leather needle. I'll be using Schmetz as my go-to home machine needles. I'll be using a leather needle in a size 14 because that fits, or if you're not in the US, size 90 for my jacket because that's about the thickness that I need. But a leather needle is what you need for pleather or leather. Otherwise, a universal needle or a Microtex needle will be fine. Or jeans needle if you're using denim. Just make sure you're matching your needles to your fabric. You're also going to need some hand sewing needles for just a little bit. It's just one little area that we have to do, well, a couple areas, I guess, just for a little bit of hand sewing, not a ton. If you're using pleather or leather, you're gonna need leather hand sewing needles. They're called Glover needles. But if you are using a pleather or leather, you do want the Glover needle, which is just a leather hand sewing needle, as opposed to just regular hand sewing needles. You'll thank me later, and you're probably going to want a thimble. Okay, if you are deciding that you want to go the pleather or leather route, I highly suggest Teflon foot. This is the one of the Teflon feet that come with Berninas, but almost all sewing machines have a Teflon foot that you can purchase. A lot of places will even sell generic ones. Just know the type of machine you have. This slides over the sticky pleather and or leather. They're fantastic. Alternatively, a walking foot. Quilters know what these are. If you sew a lot of knits on your sewing machine, you should be using one of these. It feeds the top and bottom layers through evenly. So this is a great little addition to have in your sewing room. And I know on my other home sewing machine, this is what would help me sew with leather. So one or the other are going to be great if you're working with pleather or leather. Otherwise, a regular foot on your sewing machine is fine. And then you're also going to need a zipper foot for your machine as well. This is just going to help us get real close into those zippers. Although we want a little bit of teeth showing. That's kind of the beauty of the Moto Jacket. When you're not getting too close to the zipper teeth, you can see a little bit of that zipper tape. Personally, that's, I really enjoy that. So don't want to get super close, but we do need a zipper foot in order to put in the zippers in all 5 places. 2 pockets, 2 sleeve gussets, 1 down the front. So you will need one of those. And that does it. Obviously the sewing machine, but that does it. That will be all of the supplies and notions that we need for this project. All right, I am now going to take you, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, the magic of editing, and take you over and show you exactly what it looks like, what pieces you're going to need to have cut out, which way they need to be facing. The pattern does recommend that you cut out single layer. I know that can be a little bit annoying, but trust me, I've made one already. You do want to cut out single layer. It just makes it a lot less confusing because some pieces you need 3 of and some you just need 1. It'll just be a lot easier. Keep in mind, if you are doing a pleather or leather, there is no grain line, so you can be very fabric cautious and get things right in little nooks and crannies and all sorts of stuff, as you don't have to pay attention to that grain line. Obviously, if you are not using a pleather or leather, you do need to pay attention to your grain line, but yes, we're gonna be cutting out single thickness, and we're gonna be cutting out with our fabric wrong side up. So be very careful, and when you're looking at the cutout, the layout and the pattern, which I often don't follow the cutting layout on a pattern, but this is very important to follow the cutting layout of this pattern just so you don't get confused. It will show you if you need your pattern pieces face down or face up for which pieces. So definitely pay attention to that. Go slow. Don't skip over this part. So yeah, so I don't want anyone making any boo-boos and cutting fabric incorrectly, because that will lead to tears. And this is going to be a good project that we're all going to be proud of when we finish. Alternatively, you may want a clothing label for your jacket. I will be showing you how to, what point to put that into the jacket, and I'll be sewing one into mine. So yeah, you may want a clothing label. You don't have to have one, like a little tag, but I will be showing you how to do that and how to add in a hang piece with some twill tape as well. I forgot to include that in here, but we'll be doing that as well into the jacket. Okay. Let's go over to the cutting table, and I'm going to show you exactly which pieces that you need to have cut out and interfaced, where we need interfacing, what that looks like. So let's go take a look at our pieces. All right, so let's go through all of our pieces and how we're going to have those prepped. So I've got all of my little interfacing pieces here. This is the your outer sleeve hem facing, or hem interfacing, your inner sleeve hem interfacing, your side front hem interfacing, and your back hem interfacing. And that will be determined on whether or not you're making A or B. And I'll show you how I've affixed those here in just a second. You will have a mirrored image of your lining. Start with this, the middle front lining. You'll have 2 of these mirror imaged. And then you will have 2 of 13C, which is your side front lining. 2 mirror images of those. You will have 2 of 15, which is your back lining. Oh, sorry, and that was 13C because this is the GH cup, so that one just piece 13. Piece 15, which is the back lining, you'll have 2 mirrors of those. You will have 2 mirror images of piece 18, which is the intersleeve lining. Both cut out in the lining. 2 of your outer sleeve lining, mirror images. I have, because I'm doing view A, I have 6 of piece 1, which is interfacing 1, I guess, 6 of those because I'm making view A, and we will apply this for zippers, both on the sleeve gussets and the pockets, when we get to those parts of sewing them. So I'm just going to set these 6 strips aside for right now, but we will apply those as we start sewing the zippers. You will have 2 of piece 10, which is your outer sleeve, and you will have 2 mirror images. Make sure that you transfer your circles on both the front, and go ahead and apply your outer sleeve interfacing to the hem. So you'll have 2 of those. You will have 2 of your inner sleeves, piece 11. And again, make sure that you transfer your dots. I seem to have lost my lower dots, but I will redraw those in when I put my interfacing in there for the zipper, but we will need those. And then make sure that you have your interfacing in your hems. I will make sure, and yeah, because our circles are going to be very important when we start sewing. You will need 2 of your sleeve gusset, which is piece 12, and I have those marked. I mark my spots here with a friction pen, a Pilot friction pen, which goes away with heat. That is my preferred method of marking for most things. Occasionally with dark stuff, I'll use chalk, but I really like the pinpoint accuracy of the friction pen, and I have never had any issues with it except on silk. It will leave a little residue on silk. Okay, we are going to want 2 of piece 4. Mine's 4C because it's the GH cup. I've got interfacing fused here on the back, and you want to make sure you've got your dots. I still have both those dots fixed. Those will get interfaced as well when we do our zippers, our pockets. You are going to have 2 of your inner pockets, 2 mirror images of your inner pocket, which is piece 6, and 2 mirrors of piece 5, which is your outer pocket. And again, those are cut out of the stable cotton. You're going to have 2 under collar pieces. These are to be cut on the bias. I am using fabric that doesn't have a grain though, so yeah, but if you do have a grain, these should be cut on the bias. You need 1 of your back facing, which I have here. This is piece 16, just 1 of those, and it's mirrored. It's the same on both sides, so it doesn't, I mean, I could flip that over like that. It is the same. On your back, you're going to have 2 mirrored images of your back, which is piece 7. I've gone ahead and ironed on my interfacing here at the base, and I've gone ahead and drawn my darts in with my friction pen. This is a lined jacket, so even if this didn't disappear and you can't see it from the right side because it is pleather, I'm not too worried about it, but this is just going to help when I am sewing the dart, because it is pleather and it is a little slick. It's just going to give me another layer to make sure I'm sewing those darts accurately when we get to that point. I normally would just mark, you know, my top point, bottom point, and my 2 side points for a dart. But because this is the pleather and it doesn't bleed through, I wanted to give myself that little extra reassurance. So there's my back. Next, we have our middle front, and you should just have 1 of these, and the right side is up. So when you cut this, I'm sure cut it with the wrong side of the fabric up, and you cut this piece down like this, so that when all is said and done, you've got the right side. Cashmerette did say that they did it that way so that you could easily mark. So by cutting with the wrong side up, it was easier for you to mark your various markings. I need to go back and mark this. This piece is completely interfaced on the back. I do need to go back and mark my notches have been cut, but I do need to go back and mark my circles. So I will do that. So one of those. We have one of piece 1, which is the right center front. And likewise, it is right side up with this right side up. And it is completely interfaced. And I need to mark my circles in here for the pocket as well. I wait and mark those kind of anything with my pens after the interfacing is on so I can easily see that. So I do need to go back and do that. But my notches have all been cut. So there's one of that. And then with piece 3, you have 3 actually. So piece 3 has 3. So you have one set of mirrored pattern pieces that are not interfaced. And then you have a third piece that is completely interfaced that is the same right side up there with this piece. So this is the way that the zipper goes in. You've got some different, the right and the left are different because of the way the zipper goes in. So that's why you have 3 of this piece and only 1 of the middle front, the way it gets sewn, because it gets sewn together to match with the one on the other side. Hopefully that makes sense. It will when we get sewing. So 3 of those. And then we have our top collar, which is also fully interfaced. I wanted to just say a quick note on interfacing with pleather. I had no problems with this. My iron does have a Teflon foot on it, and I used a pressing cloth. I used a silk organza pressing cloth in between my iron and the interfacing. I didn't use any steam. It was a dry iron. I just set the iron. I pressed. I didn't iron. I had no problems at all. Everything seems to have fixed correctly, so that was a success. I didn't have anything melting on anything it wasn't supposed to. So it is possible to fuse the interfacing onto the back of leathers and pleathers that need that little bit of extra oomph. And there we have it. Those are all of our pieces. There's a lot of them. All of our pieces for our Canton Moto Jacket. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Okay, there you have it. We have everything prepped and ready to go. We will start sewing next time, and we dive right in with zippers first off. So next one, I will be showing you how to shorten your metal zippers, how to put stops in either with thread or with little zipper stops themselves. The little metal pieces, gonna need a few pieces of tools that I'm sure you have around the house already. And yeah, that's what we'll be tackling next time. All right, please leave any questions you have down below. I'll be happy to answer those as soon as possible. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.